we're just going to tidy up the bottom under the neck here. We're just going to grab these vertices, remembering that we're grabbing everything through to the other side, and we're just going to slide it in a little bit. Grab these vertices here and just slide it forward a little bit, just to represent that shape that we're looking for. That's fine. Okay, now we're going to use a different tool, which is the edge tool. And if we click on that, we can select all these edges through here, and we can right click and bring up our connect. And I like to use the sub menu that comes up, this little dialog box, and we're just going to be using the one segment, and you'll see that it's put a segment all the way around through those edges. And if I click OK, you'll see now I have a segment that goes all the way around that wasn't there before. And if I go to vertices, all these vertices weren't there before. They've just been created. So what we can do with those vertices is slide them back a little bit. We can grab all of the top ones, not the bottom, and just bring them down a little. Actually, let's just bring them back to there. Grab these guys here, bring them forward. Grab these, and this is where we have to sort of push and pull now remembering, I'll just go to a wireframe mode. Remembering as I'm dragging through here, you don't always see the vertices that I'm selecting because they're inside the mesh. So be aware of that. Okay, so we need to get our nose roughly the right shape here now. So just go to scale on these end vertices and scale it down, and then drag it down. And maybe bring it back a bit just to see where that nose is. There it is. It's pretty close. We'll actually grab this vertex and bring it back. And we're going to give it another cut or another set of edges. So do the same as before and drag your marquee tool down through these edges. Right click, connect, and just the one is going to be fine. Notice that we can give it as many as we want, but we just want one. Click OK, and this time we want to, let's just scale it in a little bit, not too much. Let's just drag it back, move it up a little, just to line up with that top edge there, and grab these at the top, move them forward a bit, grab these guys at the bottom, just bring them down, grab these guys, just bring it back, and we're just trying to match that reference picture as best we can. Now, one thing to always be aware of is we've spent quite a lot of time there. I'm just going to drag this tail down a little bit. It's looking a bit off our graphic. Bring it down just to match our reference. That's fine. Yeah, as I was saying, the more time you spend in one viewport, the more risk you have that when you go to another viewport, it doesn't look right. You'll see the nose there is very square, and that's because we were just going to that front reference picture. So now let's just go to a top view now, and if I just, you can see how far out we are there. So what we need to do is a very similar process to what we did before to get the roundness back into the character. So in the top view, we're just going to grab these vertices here and the same ones down here, and we're just going to drag them back a little bit, and we're going to scale them together. Then we can grab the end ones here and pull those out a bit, and always use your Alt rotate key. And another good shortcut is while you've got that Alt button held down, you can use the right mouse button to snap back to where you were to start with. So if I use the Alt rotate and snap back, it's a very good shortcut. And we also need to bring the snout just in around the jaws here. I'm going to bring these guys in, match our reference image a bit. It looks right, and that allows us to grab these guys, pull them out just a bit more, and we can probably grab these guys here and just bring those in a little bit too. And what you can actually do, if we go into edge mode, you can click this top edge here and then use loop, and what that does is selects all of the edges around that loop, and just bring that in just to match our reference. Do the same on the next one, just go loop, bring that in, and the next one's fine. So we're looking pretty good there. Now underneath the neck here, we don't want the flatness that we do require back here in the body, so we can grab that center vertice under the neck and just pull it out, pull it down just to line up a little better there. If we go to a front view, we can use our reference image to know where to put it, and put it about here, and then we'll grab all of those vertices there and just bring it back to our reference image. There it is. We can probably bring this guy forward as well, which is that one that's just before it goes underneath the character, and then grab all of these guys at the bottom here and drag it back to our reference image. And that's looking pretty good. We'll probably do the same for underneath the neck here. I'll just switch the MeshSmooth off so we can grab the right vertice, which is this one right up underneath the chin there. Switch the MeshSmooth back on, and it looks like it needs to just come down just so that it's not so square underneath there. And we might just grab these ones on either side of it, which is that one there, and the other one on the other side, which is this one here. I'll just hide the MeshSmooth, and we want to scale those. I'm underneath it now, so we'll just scale those in. If I switch the MeshSmooth back on, we're getting a little bit smoother down through that neck area there now. And same too underneath the jaw here. We can probably leave this a little squared off, but as we come forward towards the mouth, we can bring this down just to get it some more roundness into that area. Same too. This is a good shortcut, this show end result button, which will switch off the MeshSmooth above it. And we'll just drag that down a little bit, and that's probably going to be okay. Now if we go to a front view, we just have to make sure we're still on the reference, and if we select all these verts here, we can drag that up and put it back on reference. It looks pretty good. We can probably do the same with these guys here, just bring them up. We're way off reference there, so we can actually move them back a bit, put them about here, and bring these guys down a bit. Probably bring this guy up a bit too. So that's looking pretty good. We can fill out the cheeks a little bit, but before we go on, what I'm going to do is show you a modeler's trick. If we go to a top view and select all of the vertices on the back side here, or all of the polygons on the back side, we'll just go into the top view, zoom, and just make sure we've got them all selected there, and we do, and hit delete. What we've done is deleted one complete side of our model, and We're crazy, you say. No, not quite. So if you bring up our modify stack here, and just above the edit poly, we want to slide up until we've got symmetry, which is just off the screen for you, but it's in the stack, trust me. Symmetry is the one we want, and at the moment the arrows are pointing this way and we want them to point across the body. So Y is the mirror axis, and it'll disappear, and that will happen sometimes. Just hit the flip button and then it'll come back. Now what we've done, if we go back down to our edit poly, select a polygon, if I grab something on this side of the mesh, it's mirrored. It's a symmetrical edit, and it's going to make modeling this character a whole lot easier from here on in. So if I grab this vertice here in this cheek area and just bring it out, then it's going to happen for both sides of the mesh. If I grab this vertex here, bring it in a little bit, same. I can grab this one, bring it in a little bit, just to help that nose. I can still select through the center and grab this, slide it over a little, and that's where we're at. Okay, so we'll just go to a front view. We're just going to give it a little bit more detail in the neck. So let's go to our edge selection, and what we want to do is select the edges through this part of the neck. Okay, and just connect, and it's just the one segment we want. Go OK to that, and just go to vertice mode here. Make sure you're in a front view and just check that reference. Make sure you're on reference there. That looks pretty good. Straighten these out a little bit, something like that. Might just slide these back a little more, up a little bit, something like that. Just bring these back down. There we go. And we're going to do the same through here. So another good shortcut, you'll notice that I'm drawing selections in squares. You can also use circles, but I like this freeform select. Allows you to draw, and those familiar with Photoshop will be familiar with that form of marquee. So that's given us all of those selections, segments through there. We'll just click connect, and we'll just go into vertice mode here and clean them up a little bit. Looks like this, our original neck segment can be moved up a little. It's looking pretty good. We can probably grab all of these vertices here except for the bottom one, which is maintaining that reference to the bottom, and that's pretty good. We can grab these verts through here and just slide them up a little, maybe even rotate them around a bit, and then just line up. It is quite painstaking, a little bit meticulous at this point, but it all pays off down the track. Certainly when it comes time to rig the character, you're going to have enough information there for the mesh to be moved around and animated. So that's looking pretty good for now. We'll just grab these ones in here, just pull those down a little bit. That's going to work nicely. And just always use that alt rotate just to make sure that your shape's not getting away from you in other views. So that's looking pretty good. So we'll move on now to the antennas. Okay, the first thing we need to do with these antennas is to make sure we're going to be using the extrude function out of the top of the head here. We're going to be using this polygon here to extrude the antennas up. Now, in order to do that, The easy way is to make sure that it's a square to start with. Otherwise you'll be pushing polygon vertices around forever. So just drag through here and select these vertices here and drag up until they line up with the other vertices. And from a top view you'll see now that we have a square on the head, on the top of the head, and it hasn't deformed our head too much down here by doing that. And that's what we need. So go to polygon mode and select that top polygon there, and you'll see because we have the symmetry it's selected, it looks like they're joined. And if we extrude, in fact we're going to bevel, if I click on the bevel it will actually bevel them separately because of that symmetry. But what we want to do is switch to by polygon, and what that does is allows us to sort of segment them into the center here a bit. So if we drag the outline into negative a bit, and then the height very small amount, and click apply. Now that leaves the box still open here, ready for another bevel. And if we just come up slightly, bring our amount in, and then apply, then put our outline amount to 0 and extrude the height up higher, click apply. You'll see where I'm going here. Bring it up again, click apply, and at this point we'll just go to a front view so that we can see what we're doing relative to our reference. And you'll notice we haven't applied that yet, and we don't really want to apply it because it's going to take it up here and we want to do a little bit more to it. So just go OK to that. Oh, Control Z, we'll just undo that one there, and select our vertice mode. And what we want to do is drag our verts straight across just to line up with our reference. That's probably going to do it for now. We'll tidy it up a little bit later. Now just go back to polygon mode, and what we're doing, I'll just switch off the stack. We're selecting that very top polygon, which is this one here, and switch the cage back on so we can see what we're doing. We'll switch our stack back on, and we're going to just go to our front view, and we're going to right click and bevel, and we want the height to be really quite small, like 0.1, and then we blow the outer amount out and click apply. Now we want the height to be high and the amount to be smaller, and you can see where I'm going with this. That's probably it there. Get the height right, and that's it there, and click OK. Now we'll check our right view. And if we, just with the top polygon selected, we can use this grow button, and it will grow our selection down and just drag it out away from that center line. And there you go. Just line it up with our reference image. We can scale it a little bit, scale it in, move it over, let's scale it back out a bit. We can use our vertices at the top just to select those top vertices, bring it down, and that's pretty good. We can grab our center verts here, slide it over. We can even go to our base verts here and just bring those over a bit. That's looking pretty good. We can probably grab these verts in here and just straighten it up slightly. These ones over a bit. Probably even just scale these a bit. Just give it a bit more character. Probably do the same on these ones. Just scale them a bit. And that's pretty good. Just bring them over slightly. There we go. Now we'll just go back to that front view. And we'll just grab our bottom verts here, pull them forward a bit. Grab our verts in here, pull them forward a bit. And that's looking pretty good. Okay, so what we need to do now is just give it a little bit more detail. And just from a front view, we want to grab our edge tool, click this edge on the top. I'll switch off it so that you can see what I'm doing there. Just switching that edge, and I'm going to go ring. And what that does is selects all of the vertices down around this ring. And I'm going to right click, connect, just with the one connection. Then I'm going to select this edge at the top, and I'm going to click ring. Now notice it does the whole character all the way back around the tail, and we don't want that. We want to hold down the Alt button and select every edge that we don't want. And while you select Alt, it'll get rid of all of these selections down through the body. We don't want any of these ones down through there. Don't want any of the edges along the front. We only want the edges that go from this area here and up. And we'll right click, connect. We'll click OK to that. Now what that's actually done, if I switch my stack back on, it's given us a couple of ugly areas, but we can clean up that. We'll just go to a vertice mode here, switch our lines back on, switch our cage back on, and we want to connect using the cut tool, which is further down in the stack, and it allows us to go from a vertice, and if we click on that vertice, when we come across to the center line and click there, then that's just going to allow that MeshSmooth to have a polygon to smooth off to. Same here at the back, where we want to click here and go across to the center line. And now we just need to do a little bit of tidy up with our vertices. Because we added a little bit more detail, we lost a bit of the circular detail that we need, so we'll just go back in here now. We'll grab these, pull them in. We'll grab these ones, pull them in. Grab these ones at the front and pull them out. Down a little bit. Grab this one here and just lift it up. And that's given us a little bit more detail, bit more organic curve detail. Drag this one back. And what you need to do, I'll just switch off the MeshSmooth for now. You'll need to do that up the whole antenna just to bring a bit of curve back into it, otherwise it'll look too square. Same down in here, just bring it out, bring this guy out, bring this guy right back. In the center here, bring it in. And just underneath up here we'll do the same, just bring it out, rotate it around a bit, and you'll start to understand the importance of getting a nice smooth curve around these areas. And if I switch the MeshSmooth back on now, you'll see that we've got that organic curve happening in there. It's still fairly square across the top, so if we go to our front view and drag up, and what we might do as well while we're here, just go to our top view and just go to wireframe mode so that we know what we're grabbing, which is just these two at the front I'm going to drag that forward a little bit. Actually, not at the front. We'll leave that fairly square because we're going to be putting an eye in there. So we want this vertice, this one here. We'll drag it back a little bit. And that's just going to give us a nice curve in there. And from the front view, we're just going to use our edge tool, come through the middle here, select all those edges and connect. Click OK, grab the vertice tool and do the same again. Just grab these as we go around. Just make sure that it's not square. And just leave the front as it is. Okay. So I'll just switch the color of the object up here in the color swatch just to a green, and there's just a little bit we can do back in here. Separate these guys a little bit. Just pull this guy back, maybe in slightly. Grab this guy moving forward, and these ones here will just move forward as well. And just separate these out a bit, just like so. And that's pretty much our body done. We'll move on to the eyes shortly. Okay, that's part 2, and bear in mind that a lot of part 1 was setting up the interface ready to do the modeling and to learning how to set up reference, and a lot of this stuff you would use over and over again every time you were to do a new model. So that's why it's been a little bit lengthy, but it shouldn't take us too long now to finish off the model. We won't be texturing it. We'll put some very basic materials on it, but that's probably it for now, and we'll come back and we'll finish it off and put the shell on it and put some eyeballs in it.